Welcome back to the Super Show here on BVarsity Live. Last coach, first alphabetically, Arvin. The Arvin Bears are in the house with Edgar Mares starting your 14th season there down southeast of town. And, boy, you've had some highlights over the years, and this year maybe one as well. Tell us a little bit about what you've got coming back, how you feel about this year's team.
Well, I think definitely the offensive line is what comes to mind. We got our 2 tackles, our center, and our tight end coming back. So I think that'll be a strength. And in the backfield at quarterback, Derek Adams, who's an exciting player, is also coming back.
He's a senior this year, right?
He will be a senior.
He is a senior,
yes.
so you love to have that under center. Obviously, that next year you'll deal with next year. But that's nice to have this year. And, boy, is the offensive line not a great place to start, especially over the years you guys have been kind of that traditional ground and pound team. And you like to lean on those. You say you call them the Hogs or the PHAT Fat Boys. But that's really what you'd like to, where you make your bread and butter.
Well, yeah, running the ball, we feel like there's less things that can happen against you, but definitely want to try and be a little balanced. And but if you have the luxury to run the ball, there's nothing better than to run the ball down somebody's throat.
Who will be those running backs who will be featured?
Well, definitely we're looking to see who's going to step in. Right now, the front runner seems to be Santos Perez at tailback, and there's about 3 other guys that are competing with him there. And then we got 2 guys at fullback, a junior named John Graves and a sophomore named Rafael Velasquez, who are stepping up.
Arvin is, for those who don't know, has a fairly big enrollment, but it seems like your roster can fluctuate wildly from year to year as far as how many guys you have and the type of guys you have. Where does this year fall on the spectrum? How many kids do you have, and are you pretty happy with them?
Well, as soon as everybody's out there, I think I'll be happy with it. I think we'll be over 40 strong. But right now, because of inconsistencies and not making the commitment, I have a program in place where the kids can't practice with us until they run some miles if they don't achieve a certain amount of percentage. Okay. And so there's been a few days where we've had to practice with a few coaches in there.
Interesting. So, but that is, I mean, that means when you get them out there, they're in shape, they're ready to go.
Right. We just want them to know that there's a consequence for not showing up and being there with the rest of the guys, and they miss stuff. So making them run lets them earn being on the team, and it means a little bit more to them when they do come out. So that way they don't quit, and then also they're in shape. They do fall behind as far as the plays go and understanding the game, but that's one we'll have to.
Edgar,
we'll have to take.
I'm going to start making you guys run miles to be in on BVarsity Live.
That's why I show up. To run a few. Edgar, is that something you've been doing for a while, or is that something you just kind of indoctrined here recently? Because to me it sounds like a great thing to do, because if you got a guy that you're giving them the second opportunity, but you're making them work for that second opportunity.
We don't like to give up on kids for sure, but I've been doing it now for 10 years, but it seems like it hasn't caught on. It seems like we have to do it year in and year out. And tell you the truth, a lot of the kids that fall into this category are kids who didn't play a year because they were ineligible, or they're seniors now and they're wanting to come out for the first time. So, they don't really understand what it takes to be out there.
Now, are we talking about 4 or 5 laps here, or are we talking some miles?
Well, for instance, we'll have 80% attendance since spring ball. So if a kid has, say, 65%, what I do is I take 80 minus 65, 15. It'd be 15 miles. So 15 times 4. You can do the math there as far as the number of laps.
And they can do it on their own time. They can do a mile here, a mile there.
They're only allowed to do at most 5 a day.
Okay.
And they can't suit up until they finish it up.
All right.
Got me sold. I'd show up, Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin, the next time you're not here, we'll have to talk, about the number of miles. And Lewis, that
I'll
goes
walk
for you
around the
too.
building.
Yeah.
You're not telling me what to do. I'll take. I'll take care.
I'm just doing it for your own personal health, though.
I think there's one person on our staff that would go ahead and just do it for fun, and that's our intern, Cameron.
Yeah, he does run cross country in the Pac-12, so
Yeah.
he would probably do it on one foot if we asked him to.
He has no idea what we're talking about.
Edgar, you talked about the offense. How about defensively? Is there some coming back there? Is that more of a concern?
I mean, I don't think we're as strong as far as the number of kids coming back, but I think we have some guys that can step up. In particular, Julio Reese, who also plays tight end. He's a defensive end. Jose Miranda at linebacker. Santos Perez will play linebacker.
Okay.
New kid that came up from the JV team that's really impressed us, Edgar Martinez, O-line, D-line guy. Looks good. And then, we have some kids in the secondary that I think that can move a little bit. So
Edgar Martinez had a sweet right-handed swing.
I was going to say,
That's
you
the
love
wrong
that
Edgar.
name
Yeah.
as
Great
a
name.
Mariners fan.
Hey, Coach, dealing with with maybe a smaller roster, do you have a lot of guys going both ways, or do you try to keep it separate?
I think initially we will. Initially, we'll have a bunch of guys playing offense, defense, and special teams. If these guys can catch up and learn the plays and maybe, give them a spell, then we'd like that for sure.
Let's take a look at Arvin's schedule here. We'll throw up the graphic and take a look, Coach. And I know Highland and Foothill are two teams you played at the beginning of the year for several years now. And South, I believe that top first 3 or 4 games is kind of a repeat of what you've done in the past. Are you pretty comfortable with that at this point?
Well, Highland's got a new staff, and Foothill had a new staff last year, so they've kind of changed a little bit. But we definitely like playing the old traditional SYL teams before we go into SSL, and we feel like those teams prepare us to go into league.
And what do you make of the SSL this year? It seems like Arvin you're always the wild card. I mean, we never quite know what to expect from you. In some years, you challenge right there at the top, and other years, you have to kind of concede that. Is it BCHS and Wasco like everybody's saying? Is that in your eyes?
Well, I mean, you got to give them credit. They went to Valley and State last year, and they got 2 of their outstanding players from last year's team coming back. And from what I've heard, they've got a few more kids coming. But you got to give credit where credit is due, and BCHS looks like the team to beat. Wasco's been up there for the last 2 or 3 years as well, and Prado's got them going. So we respect those programs, but I try to teach my kids not to fear them.
Right.
Right.
Before we wrap up, Coach, where is this program in your eyes? You've been there a long time now. Are you? And I know that it's never going to be a perfect situation for you, but are you happy with where things are right now? And if not, where do you need to go to get there?
Well, I think where I'd like probably for the program to help a little bit more is at the junior highs and at the Grizzly program.
Okay.
We don't have enough kids coming out for our Grizzly program. And at the junior highs, they've kind of gone away from athletics and more after-school programs.
And your hands are tied there, aren't they?
The funding is not there, and we lose coaches and people that want to help out. So it makes a big difference when a kid hasn't played football.
Well, Edgar Mars of the Arvin Bears, always a factor in the SSL. There are no easy games against your team, and I think that's a compliment to you and your staff. So
thank you.
Good luck to you this year, and thanks for taking the time to drive up here.
No problem. Thanks for having me out.
No problem at all. And we have one segment left here on BVarsity Live on the Super Show. Almost done, and coming up is our top 10 in the central section for the preseason. The top 10. We'll recap what we have 11 through 25 and then go into the top 10. Edgar Mars, thanks again, and be right back here from the Californian.